The ending of Nier Automata is something so extremely special. Now, in the ending sequence of Nier, the player enters a bullet hell sequence. Now, Nier is certainly not the first game to do an ending sequence bullet hell, not by a long shot, but the emotional impact of the sequence is something that most narratives can never hope to reach within 5 hours worth of cutscene and 400 pages of narrative to work with. And without giving too much away, the ending scene asks the player to traverse a gradually increasing in difficulty bullet hell, which after a certain point reaches nearly impossible levels of traversal. And right as most players would be on the verge of giving up on this dumb thing, you're given a prompt asking if you would like assistance. Now, receiving assistance isn't something new in games attempting to alleviate difficulty on the player, right? Many of us are familiar with the summoning system in games like Dark Souls and others, where you can summon for an outside force to get help on an obstacle that's too strong for you to beat on your own. Well, Nier handles this a little differently, and as one begins to realize shortly after asking for help that each bit of assistance they receive not only comes from another player, but in order for that player to assist you, they have offered up the entirety of their Nier save data to do so. Can you believe that, man? Every time a bullet is taken for you in this sequence, it's a player who sacrificed their data so you could just be a single bullet closer to reaching your goal. And all this is happening while the game chides you, asking if you want to quit or if games are just stupid little things. And every player who made this sacrifice is also able to leave the player with words of encouragement as well, saying things like, "I've been here before as well and you can do it," and "Don't give up." And while all this is happening, the game is playing the ending theme titled "Weight of the World," which is an inner monologue by the main character, which reflects on her shortcomings and how overwhelmed she feels at times by the burden she carries trying to complete her mission. And words simply can't do this sequence justice. It has to be experienced and can only be fully appreciated when one has the emotional attachment cultivated by reaching this point in the game. By the time a player reaches this sequence, they've beaten the game multiple times, and many have achieved 100% completion, which involves all the painstaking amount of side questing, collecting, and searching that one would expect in a Japanese action RPG. Players' sacrifice at this point in the game is sincerely something that means something, and once the player realizes what is happening, it's hard not to have some sort of emotional response at what so many strangers around the world would be willing to sacrifice to help a complete stranger reach their goal, even if it is to only progress 1 inch further than they were before. And in this 15-minute span, Nier manages to convey so many beautiful concepts and themes, the greatest of which to me are the representation of the things that we are able to accomplish when we work together as one, and what it means to truly express love to another individual. Now, this credit sequence in Nier represents a microcosm of a very important life lesson, and that is the reality that some missions are truly too big to accomplish alone. No matter how strong we may be and how much we think we know, when it comes down to it, you are an individual, and when acting alone, you are constrained by the limitations of what a single person can do. But when one is able to move past their pride and accept help, obstacles that were formerly impossible to traverse become barely worth a second thought. Cooperation and support allows us to become greater than the sum of our parts, and when we realize this, we are capable of miraculous things. And the other lesson Nier teaches us is what it truly means to express love to another. I recently have been reading Vinland Saga, and the character in this manga expresses his sadness at not having found true love yet. And other characters in the narrative mistake him for having no family or having no romantic relationships and assume that this is what's making him lonely. And the man eventually decides to correct his company and expresses to them that what many consider to be love are actually nothing more than a series of prejudices and biases. People's behavior is more often than not motivated by preference. They have a preference for certain people, environments, and things over others, so they choose to act in a way that preserve these things without giving a second thought regarding those who their preference does not envelop. He explores how humans are ultimately self-serving, and only in death does a selfless person exist, because they finally give themselves freely while expecting nothing in return. And it's in this way that Nier creates a small miracle, as it allows us as the player to act out of love, even if it is just for this one instance in this one moment in this one video game. When one chooses to sacrifice their data into the ether, they have no idea where it goes. They do not know which player will see it. They don't know how far it will allow them to progress. Nothing. And they will never even receive a thank you having done it. And it's this very reality that makes the act so special. It gives us a chance to give of ourselves freely while expecting nothing in return. We're all given the opportunity to share in this act of love in a world where this concept is corrupted a little bit more each day. And what a beautiful thing that is, and I will be forever thankful for Yoko Taro for sharing this moment with us, as it is an experience that I felt in very few other places. Hit my YouTube buttons if you don't mind and you enjoyed the video. And for those looking to contribute to the channel directly, my Patreon can be found in the description. Love you all, stay safe, and continue to bring glory to mankind.